What's going on, everyone? Welcome into a live edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. We're going to break down all of the latest news and rumors on our Brownies. But shout out to everyone tuning in right now. It is July 13th. It's the dog days of the NFL offseason. But you know what? You're not tuning out. There's no days off for Cleveland Browns fans. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have a fun show today. While we let the audience build up, you guys know we like to spend the first few minutes going back and forth in the comment section. So shout out your city for me. Let me know where you are tuning in from. It's always good to see some familiar faces and names and cities in the chat right now, but it's also good to see some new ones. So if you are tuning in for the first time, let me know where you are watching from. I know I'll be giving shout outs to people like Ty Man the Buckeye back in Ohio, OHIO. Where was I yesterday? No, I was hosting trivia at a bar on Tuesday, and there was this contingent of Ohioans just like yelling out OH, and then the other table would go IO. It was pretty fun. We have Ray Bidding typing in Phoenix. Good to see you. We got Epic Jet tuning in from Canton, Ohio. Noah is in Ashland. Anthony is watching from Columbus. Levi Mayfield, a pillar of the Cleveland Browns Report, watching from Rock Creek, Ohio. Kimberly Hurst, the number one commenter here, is watching from Lincoln, Nebraska, but originally from Akron, Ohio. We've got Pennsylvania in the house, Salem, Ohio, from Gregory. Keep getting those cities in the comment section. It'll be fun to see who the furthest person from Cleveland, Ohio is and where they are tuning in from. We've got Dallas in the house from Shaylin. Archie Moore is watching from Cleveland, Ohio. Let me know where you are tuning in from today. While you are typing your cities in the comment section, we're going to have a portion of our show today dedicated to potential extensions, right? 3 players that the Browns might extend either now or once the season gets underway. Andrew Berry extended Nick Chubb in August of 2021. He extended Wyatt Teller and Joel Petonio in October, November of 2021, so mid-season contract extension. So this is not something he is foreign to. So we might see Donovan Peoples-Jones or Grant Delpit get extended. If you had to pick one to get extended, which player would it be? Type the jersey number for the player you would like to see get extended, Donovan Peoples-Jones or Grant Delpit. I kind of want to go with secret door number 3, all of the above. But if I really had to pick one, man, Grant Delpit, I feel like, is a player that could really emerge, not as like a, quality starting safety, but I know I'm getting a little bit drunk on the Delpit Kool-Aid, but as like a fringe Pro Bowl-esque safety, someone that I think could be a 15 to 10th top-ranked safety in the NFL, right there, that 8 to 12 range, if you will, of safeties in the NFL. I'm that high on the former Louisiana Tigers. So let me know who you would rather extend, Donovan Peoples-Jones or Grant Delpit. Seen a lot of 11s. I love DPJ. Don't get me wrong. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a very fun player and a great story. Former 6th-round pick, and here he is having the time of his life. But no, seriously, he has climbed up the depth chart. He was wide receiver 2 last year. He's right there at that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range again this year. But for me, I think Grant Delpit might be a sneaky good pick to try and solidify the back end of this defense with Juan Thornhill for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So, tough pick indeed, Ray. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting 22 in the chat, though, but let me know which player you would rather extend. I'll give shout-outs. Ty Man the Buckeyes going with Donovan Peoples-Jones along with Ray Bidding. Archie Moore is in the chat. Archie, thank you so much for tuning in. Archie's rolling with Grant Delpit. We got Max here going with DPJ. Anthony's rolling along with Archie and I with Grant Delpit. So is Lee Massey. Cool guy called Zone, the Noti King, if you will, of the channel, also putting 22 in for Mr. Delpit. So let me know which player you would rather extend. An off-the-wall question here. We spend so much time talking Cleveland Browns football. It's kind of fun in the, dog days of the offseason to get to know the viewers a little bit better. So shout out your pet's name. Let me know what your dog, your cat, your snake. Actually, I don't want to. No snakes. If you have a snake, don't talk about that in the chat right now. People that own snakes are pre-crime people. They are going to commit a crime in the future. I don't want those people here. No snakes allowed. But whether it's your chinchilla, I had a roommate first year out of college get some chinchillas. I told him it was an awful idea. He sold them like a month later. Chinchillas are nocturnal and they are loud during the night. But my dog's name is Cruz, Princess Cruz. She is the love of my life, of course. Epic Jet going with Prince and King. We got Gandalf and Odin with John. Cool Guy Called Zone has a pit bull named Boss. Now that is a very fitting name. Cassie Voth is here. Cassie, what's going on? Rosie, a sweetheart indeed. Tim Green with 3 cats, Peach, Oliver, and Mr. Kitty. Very fitting names. You can get creative. I think cats can have a Mr. or Mrs., and that plays. Dogs, not so much. We've got Zachary with a Kruger Cane Corso. Luke, Jack, and Jake. Now here, that's from Greg. I will say this. This is my dad's biggest pet peeve, and it's kind of filtered down to me. When families send out Christmas cards, and it's mom, dad, 3 kids, and the dog has a human name, it can be a bit confusing to know which one is named the dog, right? When you've got like Matthew, Andrew, Charlotte, and Jake, I think Jake's the dog, but also I can't really tell for sure. So you got to give a good enough dog name so that there's no doubt about, are you talking about your son, your daughter, or your dog?
But would they rank the dog above one of their kids?
Dude, there are some parents out there just saying, Modern Family, Jay Pritchett.
I know, but like in the real world,
you never know.
Would you rank the dog above, like,
that's fair.
Oh, yeah, Jake's cool, but we're going to rank him last, and we're going to put the dog above him.
Yeah. Time Man the Buckeye with CC. Easy fix. Leave the family members out. That's a good point by Greg. Kimberly, the dog. Brutus thinks he rules the roost. Brutus, that's a great dog name right there. Keep getting those pets' names in the chat right now. My dog's name is Cruz. She is just the cutest thing in the world. Love me, Cruz. All right, next up, we're going to get you guys involved in more than one way in the chat by getting your comments in using hashtag Browns. We will have a mailbag, a live Q&A at the end of the show. So if you have never tuned into a live Browns report, we wrap up the show with answering whatever questions you guys have. Cleveland Browns related, NFL related, ask me anything. Let me know what questions you have. Get those questions in now, though. Early and often, hashtag Browns. And if you want to go above and beyond, super chats are definitely appreciated. You get to skip the line, guarantee a spot on screen for that mailbag. So if you have a question that you are dying to ask and you want it guaranteed to be answered and you don't want to be at the mercy of producer Jack Lauderay and whatever questions he picks, get those super chats in, super chat, or you can go to the chat section using hashtag Browns. So if you are ready for the show to get underway, like the video. This is the final part before we jump into a live Cleveland Browns report. Thursdays are my favorite day of the week because I get to come out and hang out with you guys here, talk football, talk Cleveland Browns football, all that good stuff. So if you're ready to rock and roll with me, like today's video. We're only at 11 likes. That hurts. Not going to lie. That stings a little bit. Come on. If you haven't liked the video, what the fuck are you doing? Like the video. We got 11 likes so far. We're not getting this thing off the ground until we get to 20 likes at least. We got Lil Beam. Lil Beam is an MVP of asking questions during our live show. We are at 13 likes. I had a little fun there, a little trade question. So we're at 17 likes. We're 3 likes away. Once we get to 20, this is what we will jump into. The latest news and rumors, extension candidates for the Browns, and then that mailbag we just talked about. Hashtag Browns or Super Chat. 2 likes away from 20 likes, and then we are going to jump into today's live show. Once you get your like done, type me in the chat. Oh, we got a Super Chat from Ray Bidding. Ray, we'll toss that on screen in just a moment here. We are at 20 likes. Let's go. Good timing. 20 likes and a $5 Super Chat from Mr. Ray. How do you see the Browns' record after the first 4 games? We will include this question in our mailbag as well. First 4 games off the top of my head. At every point, every fan memorized the schedule. That usually happens in August for me. But I believe the first 4 games go Steelers, Bengals, Titans, Ravens. I know those are the first 4. I just can't remember. It's at home against Cincinnati, at Pittsburgh, home against Tennessee, and I think home against the Ravens. I'm getting some fact checking here from the brighter minds at Chat Sports. Did I go 4 for 4? Yeah. So win against the Bengals. See, it's so fun to just go win, win, win. It's a tough, you have 3 division games in your first 4 games. If you walk out of that 4-game stretch 2-2, the NFL world might not take you seriously, but for how tough this division is, that might not be very bad. So after the first 4 games, you can move the wins and losses around. Probably 2-2. I think they will take down Tennessee and win one of those 3 division games and maybe drop the other 2. It's going to be a tough schedule. So early on, at least. So 2-2. I know it's fun to say 4-0 or 3-1, but keeping it somewhat realistic, I think 2-2 would be a pretty good start to the year, given how tough their schedule is with 3 division games and Mike Vrabel, who's just never an easy out in the first 4 weeks of the season. So with that being said, we are ready to jump into a live Cleveland Browns report. Mr. Lauderay, are we ready? We've got Tyler Smith, one of the newest members of the Chat Sports team, running the live chat. So if you got any issues with him, just take it up in the chat. Let's jump into a live Browns report. Okay, there we go. We will pick things up here. Don't worry, we got some snafus on the technical side, but that's just the nature of the business here. So with that being said, we're going to jump into a live Cleveland Browns report, but let's start things off with this question here. I want to know from all of our viewers, what feedback would you give the show? If you're tuning in right now in the dog days of the offseason, clearly you are a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. So I want to know what things we could do better, what things you're a fan of, what things you're not a fan of, and we're going to implement whatever guys you think are good suggestions into the show, because this is a two-way street here at Chat Sports and the Browns Report, all about audience interaction, and I want to know from our viewers what we could be doing a better job of. Now, coming up on today's show, we're going to look at a free agent target / suggestion from Cleveland.com, kind of break that down. Plus, The Athletic outlined their 32 breakout candidates, one for each team. We will see who they selected for the Browns. And then the Hall of Fame news of the day, as the semifinalists have been announced, and there are 2 Cleveland Browns semifinalists. But let's start things off by getting our friend Bernie Kosar involved with our Bernie heads, kind of a scale of believability, if you will. So, will the Browns or should the Browns sign Rashaan Evans? I'm going to give this one 2 Bernie heads. So, I think there is something to adding a linebacker, and I think Rashaan Evans would be a good addition. Former first-round pick by the Tennessee Titans in 2018, did not have his 5th-year option picked up. So after 4 years in Nashville, he packed his bags and went down to Atlanta, where he had a career-high 159 tackles last year. So he was the center of that defense, and everything was filtered towards him, and he wrapped up a lot of players. Now, the Browns, of course, would have interest in Evans or any other linebacker for that matter, because they ended the year with 4 linebackers on injured reserve: J.O.K., Anthony Walker, Takitaki, and Jacob Phillips. So as training camp is just over a week away, and those players report to initially Cleveland, and then they go to Greenbrier, West Virginia to open up training camp, they're going to find out how healthy these linebackers are, and if they are not close to returning, that's when I think Andrew Berry might start picking up the phone, calling some agents, and seeing which linebackers would fit best with the Browns. And Rashaan Evans could be a pretty good fit. Here's what Irie Harris from Cleveland.com wrote. For one, he took part in Jim Schwartz's defense in 2021, meaning they'd add another defender with experience in his schemes. Secondly, Evans is coming off his best season statistically with his 159 tackles. And that can always help a Browns defense, which ranked 3rd to last in tackling grading, 40.6 last season. Like I said, the former first-round pick for the Tennessee Titans was not much of an impact player. When you draft an off-ball linebacker in round 1, you are believing that you have found a pillar of the defense and someone that's going to be a mainstay for hopefully the next 7 to 10 years or so, right? Someone you would give a second contract to. But Evans ended up just being solid. And solid's fine, but for off-ball linebackers that get drafted in the first round, it's a bit underwhelming. And in this day and age, running backs and linebackers just do not catch big money in free agency. So Evans is still on the open market, probably hoping that his value goes up if some injuries happen during training camp and he can slide in August and be a late addition and get some extra money thrown his way. Training camp, like I said, opens up soon, July 22nd in West Virginia at the Greenbrier Resort. I think you might see a signing happen about a week later, right? Once all those injured linebackers report to training camp, they get with the trainers then get with Andrew Berry in the front office, and they go, okay, this guy's going to be out 2 weeks. He'll be out 3 weeks. You won't have him for the start of the season. Well, at that point, the Browns will reconsider, and they'll first look inwards, right? They'll look at Jordan Kunaszyk and their UDFA signings and go, how are these guys looking, right? They'll get with Jim Schwartz, and they'll go, you've had these linebackers, pads on, 3 or 4 practices. Are they legit? Can they start a game or two to begin the year until we can get all of our horses back? And if Schwartz says, yeah, these guys can get the job done, and they won't add a linebacker, but I don't think that's very likely. I think Schwartz will come back with, let's go add a guy like Rashaan Evans, who I worked with in Tennessee, and I think can do well in this defense, and he can keep the ship afloat because early in the season, you have some tough games against Joe Burrow and the Steelers on the road, and speaking of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel and the boys, and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. You don't want to mess around early in the season with a couple of UDFA linebackers that might be good, but we're not quite sure. I'd be much more comfortable with a Rashaan Evans, a Miles Jack, another linebacker filling in until everyone is 100%. So speaking of adding some players, what position do you think the Browns should add right now? Is it linebacker, defensive tackle, running back? Those are kind of the 3 big spots. They added a cornerback about a week ago. That definitely caught me by surprise, but who knows? They could be in the market for adding someone else, and who do you think that someone else should be? Second segment on today's episode. Are we going to get an Elijah Moore breakout season? I'm going to give this one 3 Bernie heads. I'm pretty much all the way at 4 Bernie heads, but I don't want to, count my eggs before they're count my kitchens before they hatch. Thank you. So The Athletic put out an article with 32 breakout candidates, 1 from each team, and Elijah Moore was the selection by the Browns beat reporter Zach Jackson. The former 34th overall pick by the Jets, we know, did not get off to a great start in New York, and blame can go around. I think he was probably a little bit underwhelming for the Jets side of things, but I'm going to lean more on the scale of his quarterback play was dog shit, right? I mean, Zach Wilson was not the second overall pick on the field. He did not look anything like someone who goes number 2 in the draft. You had White and Joe Flacco fill in for a couple of games here, and they were honestly better than Zach Wilson. But Elijah Moore never got any sort of chemistry with his quarterbacks because his quarterback sucks. And then his offensive coordinator put him in the doghouse, and he got fired as a result of it. So Elijah Moore is a prime breakout candidate because he checks a lot of the boxes of former high pick, slow start to his NFL career, change of scenery, and he could be good for launch here. But this is what Zach Jackson said specifically. With Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, Moore will be given chances to turn quick passes into big gains and get open down the field when Watson leaves the pocket. In the spring, we saw Moore line up across the formation and even got in the backfield. He's going to get chances to have a breakout season. I am buying Elijah Moore stock like it's insider trading, and I don't care about doing the time. I am that in on Elijah Moore, potentially being a 1,000-yard receiver. I think that's the kind of takeoff he could have in this offense. The Browns wide receiver room, like we've said before, is a bit shaky past 2023, with DPJ being a free agent and Amari Cooper having a $23 million cap hit. But Elijah Moore is under contract, and Kevin Stefanski knows this. Andrew Berry knows this. Paul DePodesta knows this. And I think you're going to see Elijah Moore get force-fed the football. And the guy that once peed on was it Mississippi State or Ole Miss's field during the Egg Bowl, I think he could flourish in Cleveland. I remember when he came out of Oxford, A.J. Brown, his old teammate down at Ole Miss, said he could be NFL Rookie of the Year, and I bought that stock. And his rookie year, he was limited to 11 games, but he put up 538 yards and 5 touchdowns in a pretty bad offense. So to see the hopeful bounce back year after last year, I'm pretty optimistic because Deshaun Watson is a huge upgrade at the quarterback position. The Browns did not make a move for Elijah Moore without having a good plan in place. At least I hope and I believe. They did their homework on him last year during the trade deadline in October, ultimately passed, and this year they went out and got their man, and I think they're going to put him in a big spot to succeed. So yes, I think Elijah Moore will break out. The only reason why I'm not giving it 4 Bernie heads is I don't want to jinx it, to be honest. Now, our boss here at Chat Sports, James Yoder, he could probably hear me. The walls are a little bit thin. He's a big Michigan guy. He hosts a Michigan YouTube channel, and we talked about the Hall of Fame game coming up between the Browns and the Jets, and he made a little passive comment, but I don't think it was very passive. He said, if you don't pick up 15 new subscribers by the time this week wraps up, you're not getting a Hall of Fame game watch party. And that ruffled my feathers a little bit here. So let's prove my Michigan boss wrong. Let's pick up 15 new subscribers. Let's get a watch party for the Hall of Fame game, which will be 2-3 weeks away, August 4th. So coming up before you know it, hit that sub button if you cannot stand Michigan football and if you love the Cleveland Browns. Now, our third segment on the show. Are we going to get some Browns Hall of Famers? I sure hope so. I'm giving it 4 Bernie heads because I know the Hall of Fame committee is watching today's video, and that is how they're going to make their decision. So allow me to persuade those in charge to let Clay Matthews Jr. and Marty Schottenheimer into the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, because these two candidates are definitely worthy of doing so. And I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. But the new Cleveland Browns Dog Pound logo t-shirt sale is still going on. So if you have not got your very own Cleveland Browns dog t-shirt, get it right now. chatsports.com/CLEdog. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. Now let's start things off by talking about former Cleveland Browns linebacker Clay Matthews Jr. It is the 6th time he has been a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame voting. Unfortunately, he has never gotten further past this point or never gotten inducted into the Hall of Fame, as we know. He played 16 seasons for the Browns from 1978 to 1993 before wrapping up his career in Atlanta. He is second all-time in franchise history in sacks with 82.5. Myles Garrett passed him earlier this past season, so he is a Cleveland Browns legend. He is a football legend. Ask yourself, can you tell the story of football without Clay Matthews Jr.? I don't think so. And you also can't tell it without this coach here, Marty Schottenheimer. He was the Browns head coach from 1984 to 1988. He really gained familiarity and fame when he was in Kansas City, but he put together a good record with the Browns, 44-27. 21 years as a head coach in the NFL, went 101, 58-1. Unfortunately, we lost Marty not too long ago at the age of 77 back in 2021. So if you believe that Clay Matthews Jr. and Coach are Hall of Famers, like today's video. Let's get some good football juice out into the metaverse. Hit that thumbs up button if you believe that these two guys are Hall of Fame worthy. Now, to wrap up the show, this is the part that producer Jack has been looking forward to all episode long. Unmute yourself. Come on.
I'm just so demoralized after that start. I'm not, oh, God.
It's okay. Jack had a little button pressing issues, but we recovered. So we've got one of the new guys here at Chat Sports doing a great job, Tyler Smith, in the studio as well, kind of shadowing a little bit. So we're going to let the two of them pick a card. And it'll be 2v1, and I'm not worried whatsoever. So, Jack, you go first.
No, you go first.
Oh, I go first. Okay.
You go first.
A little sip-stap on me.
Power move.
Yeah, like changing the location of the meeting at the last moment.
Yep.
Michael Scott. Put me down for a 4 of hearts.
Give me the 7 of clubs.
7 of clubs, okay. And Smitty?
I hate to go same suit as Petey here, but he is a smart guy. He does have a pick.
Oh, you're kissing a good ass.
Stop with that.
I'm going to go 9 of hearts.
Okay. I got 4 of hearts. Jack, you have 7 of clubs? Is that what you said?
Sure. Yeah, I don't
And
remember.
9 of hearts.
Come
last
on,
cut?
baby. I need this.
What did you say?
7 of clubs.
Not even close. 8 of diamonds. Kind of
Wow.
close, I guess. Kind of
Wow.
close. 8 of diamonds. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed, hit that sub button, like today's video, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys later. What position should the Browns add to? What are we thinking here? Linebacker? Defensive tackle? Running back? I don't think I saw... What did I just say? 8 of diamonds? Ray Bidding got it. Ray got it. Let's go, Ray. Bingo, Ray. Ray got it before Jack did. That's tough. He's not even in the room.
No,
and he felt it.
No, but
Ray.
But Ray
from 3.
No, but Ray's here all the time. So
Ray is a mainstay.
He's got just as many chances as I've had. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for Ray.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm happy for Ray too. We had Billy get it yesterday with the 6 of spades. He gets that every single time. But Ray, shout out to you, my guy. Way to get it. So let me know which position Joshua Miller wants a new backup punter. That would mean we'd have to have a backup punter to begin with. That would be a first. Corey Bojorquez, he's got that job locked down. Cool Guy Gold Zone, you also got it once too. So we've got some winners in the chat right now. We got Ray winning. We have Cool Guy Called Zone winning a few weeks ago. It's always a fun little way to end the show, I think. I'm going to miss it once the season gets underway. But I think it's a good off-season thing to kind of get us through the dog days of the off-season. So we will retire the card picking week 1 before the Cincinnati Bengals game. But until then, let's see if the producers can ever get it. Because it's 1-0 good guys. And I'm the good guy. Corn Dog Dude, you've won it too. Let's go. All right,
It's like SpongeBob. Have you seen that episode where he's in the dome with Sandy?
Yeah.
And he's like, I need it. I need it.
Okay, next up on the show, we are going to talk about some extension candidates. We have seen Andrew Berry make a couple of extensions as the Cleveland Browns general manager. And could he make some more between now and next year's off season? We're going to talk all about that on the next portion of the show. Got the green light from Mr. Lauderay? Okay, let's jump into segment number 2 on today's Live Browns Report. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go through some extension candidates for the Browns, right? Some players that Andrew Berry might decide to extend either before the season gets underway or after the season gets underway, because he has been no stranger to making some contract extensions. These are all the moves that I could remember him extending, or players he has extended since he has taken over as GM. Started off with Myles Garrett, and then fast forward, you got the Nick Chubb deal done during training camp. Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio were extended during the 2021 season. Denzel Ward, about a year and change ago, got a big 5-year contract extension, along with David Njoku. And then Jack Conklin, surprisingly, at least to my surprise, inked a 4-year contract extension during last season. So Andrew Berry is no stranger to making some contract moves and extending pieces he believes are core elements of this roster. So our first contract extension candidate would be Donovan Peoples-Jones. So the former 6th-round pick out of Michigan, as we all know, has ran with his career. I mean, exceeded a lot of people's expectations for a former late day 3 draft pick. Donovan Peoples-Jones last year, 839 yards. He has put together a very strong start to his career, getting better and better season by season. And now he's in line for a potential big contract season where if him and Deshaun Watson in this offense take off, he could be getting the bag in free agency. Now, if DPJ gets off to a hot start and he picks up where he left off last year, and it's October and DPJ is already up to 500 yards and 4 touchdowns or something like that, the Browns might view Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and my guy Cedric Tillman as the future of this wide receiver room. And they don't want to wait till free agency to get here because DPJ could get some more money in free agency. So the two sides could come together on an agreement and an extension, and both sides could come out winners, right? The Browns lock up their wide receiver room for the future, and Donovan Peoples-Jones gets guaranteed money and doesn't risk getting injured the next game and then not getting a whole lot of money in free agency. Another thing for DPJ to consider is the wide receiver pool in free agency. It's got a lot of big names in it. So if he's not going to be one of the 5 highest paid wide receivers in free agency, which very well could be Odell Beckham Jr., Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, if DPJ kind of slides in at that 5 to 7-ish range, he might be a bit disappointed because a lot of the wide receiver money could be dried up. So it might be wise for both sides to come together on an extension if DPJ gets off to a strong start and the Browns go, we're going to move on from Cooper because the cap hit's too big, and we think Watson, DPJ, Moore, and Tillman are the wide receiver quarterback connection and room for the next 3 to 4 seasons. So here's a hypothetical extension that I cooked up. 3-year extension, $30 million. That's an average of $10 million a season, and you guarantee, it's kind of on the high side, but that's an incentive for DPJ to sign the extension now and not wait until the offseason, where he might get more money if he continues to have a hypothetical really good 2023 season, but $20 million guaranteed in October or November could be tough to pass on, right? It's not a bad idea to gamble on yourself, but 20 G's straight to the bank account, that is a tough thing to say no to. So this could be something the Browns get done in season if DPJ is kicking ass and Amari Cooper is maybe slowing down just a hair, or it's just not living up to the cap hit for 2024. And Andrew Berry goes, we've got our wide receivers. Let's get this done. So let me know what your thoughts are. Is this DPJ's last year in Cleveland? Yes or no? I hope not, because I'm a big fan of DPJ, but I'm also a realist and can kind of see the writing on the wall of last year of his contract. The Browns drafted a wide receiver in Cedric Tillman, traded for one in Elijah Moore. It's not boding well for Donovan Peoples-Jones, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Our second extension candidate is someone on the other half of the field. That is safety Grant Delpit. Now, this one would be for a little bit of a different reason than DPJ, and that is because the Browns are going to look at their safety room and go, we've got Juan Thornhill for the next 3 years, but after that, we've got some question marks. Like DeAnthony Bell was a UDFA that made this 53-man roster last year. I thought he played well, filling in for Ronnie Harrison for the last few games of the year. But then you got some UDFAs that might be good, might not be good. And Rodney McLeod's a veteran on a 1-year deal. Now, we're going to talk more about Grant Delpit in just a moment. But today's Cleveland Browns report is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Let's face it, after you guys hit me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back well the next day. Now, that is until I found Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Now you can see that the Z-Biotics package is pretty lightweight. It's not too big. It comes with 6 bottles, which I'll show you guys. So it's super easy to travel with. So let's say you got a bachelor party or something. You can stick this in your bag. You're good to go, and you're going to be feeling 100% the next day. Now, more on this here. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code ChatSports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription as well, so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you are ever unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/chatsports and use the code ChatSports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you so much, ZBiotics, for sponsoring today's video. All that information for you guys is in the comments and the description of today's show. Getting back to Mr. Delpit here, you can see that Grant Delpit, his rookie season, well, we lost his rookie season, so year 2, which is year 1 kind of, it's a little bit hairy. 66 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups. He was Ronnie Harrison's role, Ronnie Harrison last year, right? He was kind of that third safety at times alongside John Johnson in that rotation. But look at the jump he made in his third season, but really his second year. 105 tackles, a team high. 4 tackles for loss, 10 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. Now, the only reason why this is not a slam dunk no-doubter is because Delpit last year had 2 seasons, the first half and the second half. The first half was filled with miscommunication errors and sloppy mistakes and head-scratching, film. 242 yards allowed, 2 touchdowns. But the second half, look at the jump. His PFF grade went up by 9 points. He gave up only 107 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, he completely turned things around in the second half of the season. And for that reason, I'm all for trying to extend Grant Delpit. I think the former LSU Tiger could be a pillar of this secondary. You go from back to front, Delpit, Thornhill, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome. Those guys are on rookie contracts for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. And then up front, you've got Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett. I mean, talk about the actual pillars for years to come. It could be Delpit, Ward, Emerson, Newsome, and Garrett. Those are building blocks at each and every single level. JOK, hopefully, at linebacker. That's kind of the only question mark on this defense right now in terms of longevity. But I think Delpit could be that type of player for the Browns. We're going to get to some more contract extension talk in just a second here. But if you have not subscribed and you're looking for a reason to do so, I've got a couple right now. One, it's free content, which means if you don't like it, get your money back. And that's all of $0 because that's how much it costs to subscribe. Plus, we're an interactive channel here, which means it's a two-way conversation. It's not just me as a talking head up here. We get you guys on screen. We get your thoughts and concerns and voices heard. So, Coogan Blaster, Robert Jones, Scott Zappa, some frequent commenters. I went to the comment section of a previous video, picked 3 names I saw. So shout out to you guys for being active in the comment section of our videos. Get on screen by subscribing to the channel and lock yourself in for Browns content. To wrap up the Delpit portion of the show, just like Donovan Peoples-Jones, it's important to look at the other free agent safeties out there. And for Delpit, he's going to look around and realize, I'm not one of the worst, but there are some big names here. Ryan Neal is one of the better safeties in the league down in Tampa Bay. Terrell Edmonds with the Eagles is fantastic. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson signed a 1-year prove-it deal with the Lions. He could really be cashing in next year. Taylor Rapp, Jeremy Chin, Taylor Rapp with the LA Rams. Xavier McKinney, Antoine Winfield Jr. Delpit's going to look around going, even if I have a great season, there are a lot of really good safeties, and I might not get as much money as I want in free agency, which why it might be in both sides' best interest to get an extension done, right? What if you signed him to a 3-year, $20 million extension, right? Juan Thornhill got 3 years, $21 million for reference. So that guarantees maybe about $8 million. Delpit walks away with some guaranteed money. It's not going to be maybe as much as you would hope for, but we just saw there are a lot of really good safeties on the open market this upcoming free agency pool. So if Delpit's not going to get top 5 safety money in free agency from this upcoming class, this might be his best decision. So pick a player to extend, Donovan Peoples-Jones or Grant Delpit. Put the jersey number for the guy you'd rather see get extended. For me, I'm going to lean towards Delpit because I think if you lose DPJ, you still have Cedric Tillman. You've got Elijah Moore. You could try and find a way to bring Amari Cooper back. But for Delpit, I just feel like his ceiling might be a bit higher than DPJ's. Third extension candidate would be Nick Chubb. Now, this one is in a whole different universe than Donovan Peoples-Jones and Grant Delpit, right? Because Nick Chubb has 2 years left on his contract. Remember, he signed a 3-year, $36 million extension in August of 2021. Now, his cap hit is $16.2 million. So that's a big cap hit in 2024. And potentially too big for the Browns. And I wonder if an extension could satisfy both parties, where they extend Nick Chubb to lower that cap hit, guarantee a spot on the roster, and for Nick Chubb, he gets more guaranteed money, so everyone comes away happy. If Andrew Berry believes that Nick Chubb is the next unicorn of running backs, which is running backs that approach 30 and show no signs of slowing down, like Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey, then an extension could benefit both sides, right? You lower the 2024 cap hit, kind of spread some of that money out, and you lock up a guy you think can still be a 5 yards a carry running back, a number Nick Chubb has never gone below in his NFL career. So if Andrew Berry believes Nick Chubb is a unicorn, right? He is an anomaly, and he sticks out, and he's never going to have that Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott regression season out of nowhere, or at least out of this upcoming season, then I could see a Nick Chubb extension happening. Having said all that, though, extending a 27-year-old running back is risky, right? If Nick Chubb does have a Zeke or Dalvin Cook or Kareem Hunt fall off, which is just devastating for teams with big contracts for those backs, it could set this team back. And I don't want to envision a world where Nick Chubb is averaging less than 5 yards a carry, but Father Time is undefeated pretty much. So if it catches up to Nick Chubb and this team extends him and they have to cut Nick Chubb because he's 30 years old, he's got a $10+ million cap hit, and he's averaging 4.2 yards a carry, that could be a headache for the Browns in a few seasons in the future. So this could be an issue for them if they do make this move and he does take a step back. But if he doesn't take a step back, it's really a win-win all around. So let me know, would you extend Nick Chubb? Do you think he's going to slow down anytime soon? Or is he going to go right through his 30s and still be a very productive running back and finish his career in Cleveland 8-10 seasons in and never really miss a beat? It is time to pick a card. We've got Jack Lauderay behind the camera today. Jack, what are we thinking?
Okay.
Level with me here.
Give me... I'm going to go 10 of spades.
10 of spades, okay. 10 of spades. Mr. Smitty?
I'm going to go 4 of clubs.
4 clubs. I'm going to go with the Queen of Hearts. One more cut. I think we got 9 of spades. 9 of spades. Oh, you're off the rim. Off the front iron. That's going to do it for us today on today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Would you extend Nick Chubb? Ooh, that's a tough beat right there for Mr. Lauderay. That is not what you want to see. Not good at all. Did we get a super chat, by the way? Oh, we got some super chats to catch up on. We do have a mailbag, so if you have a question, I'll hit him right now. If you have a question you want answered, super chat, guarantee a spot on screen. We got one from my good friend Joshua Miller. Will DPJ or Elijah Moore have better numbers than OBJ? Ooh, Josh comes up with really good questions. If I had to pick one more likely to do so, it'd have to be Elijah Moore because I think Elijah Moore is going to have better numbers than DPJ. I'm not sold on Elijah Moore having better numbers than OBJ just yet. OBJ is the biggest question mark. Like, where do you even take him, for example, in your fantasy football league? Like, he'll be Lamar Jackson's #1 target, but we haven't seen Odell Beckham Jr. put together a 1,000-yard season in 4 years. 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019. It's been a long time. So I'm not sure what to expect from OBJ this year. Coming off 2 torn ACLs in the last 2 or 3 years. So if I had to pick one, Josh, I'd go with Elijah Moore. Max with a $10 super chat. What's going on, Max? We finally develop a late pick receiver to only have to see him go. That sucks. It does suck, but unfortunately, that's the price of doing business in the NFL. You just can't really hold on to everyone, right? You have to pick and choose which guys you think are going to flourish, ascend, and be consistent, and which guys you don't want to gamble on and pick as your horse. And the Browns might decide we would rather spend our money elsewhere, and we just don't know if Donovan Peoples-Jones is a $10 million guy to us, But he might be to another team that doesn't have a big name wide receiver and has money to spend. So it's a bummer. It sucks because I like DPJ. Always been a Donovan Peoples-Jones fan. I've always said DPJ, awesome Browns jersey to have. If someone's wearing a number 11 DPJ jersey, they know ball. If someone's wearing a Nick Chubb jersey or Deshaun Watson jersey, it's a little bit of a casual. I'm not a casual. This was a nice little Christmas gift. But it definitely goes to show, if you get a deep cut jersey, you know your shit. Mailbag coming up next on the show, though. Hashtag Browns, or you can super chat. We've already had a handful of super chats fly in. We'll get all those super chats on our mailbag. But if you want to beat the time, beat the clock, get on screen, super chats go a long way to support the show. So if you like the free content, we never turn down a super chat. But if you are looking to go the chat route, just put hashtag Browns in your question, and producer Jack can pull that and put it on screen. So with that being said, are we ready to jump into a live mailbag, Jack? Okay, so get those questions in. Hashtag Browns, super chat. You guys know the drill. Yeah, Katie York jersey, Josh. That's a deep cut. That jersey fucks. Here we go. Let's jump into a live mailbag. What's going on, everyone? We've got a mailbag coming up on today's show. These questions were asked during our live Q&A, which airs during our live show every single Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So tune into a future Cleveland Browns Report Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern to have your questions answered. Let's start things off with this super chat from Ray Bidding. Ray asks, how do you see the Browns' record after the first 4 games? I've always approached record predictions as taking quarters of the season, clumps, little sets, if you will, and going in this stretch right here. I think they're going to go 3-2, 2-3, whatever, and you can distribute the wins and losses how you see fit. So for the first 4 games, home against Cincinnati, at Pittsburgh, home against Tennessee, home against Baltimore, I think 2-2 sounds pretty good. Like, I know that's kind of loser talk, and we all want this team to go 3-1 or 4-0 out the gates here. But if you can take a win against Cincinnati, maybe don't want to lose against Pittsburgh, but if you can come out of that stretch right there with 3 division games, 2-2, whether that's 2 wins in the division or a win against Tennessee and 1 win against those 3 division opponents, I don't think you'll be too upset with how tough of a 4-game stretch that is. So, honest reaction, 2-2 in that 4-game stretch. I know it's more fun to say 4-0, but that's my opinion. Joshua Miller, will Donovan Peoples-Jones or Elijah Moore have better numbers than OBJ? I don't know what to expect out of OBJ this year. Honestly, no gauge whatsoever. Guy hasn't been a 1,000-yard receiver in 4 or so years now. He's had 2 ACL tears in the last 3 seasons. He missed all of last year. If I had to pick one player to have a better season than OBJ, I'll go with Elijah Moore because I think he's going to have a bigger season than DPJ. But I don't know if he'll have better numbers than OBJ. I mean, that's going to be Lamar Jackson's number 1 guy. And if he goes back to his New York Giants days or the way he played in LA in the postseason, yeah, OBJ without a doubt will have better numbers than Elijah Moore. But who knows what to expect out of 13. BB Browns fan, what's going on? Any update on a Kareem Hunt re-signing before training camp? No real hard news or rumors have come out on the Kareem Hunt side of things here. We are still a few days away from training camp, and Kareem Hunt last year, 3.8 yards a carry, a career low. We've seen these numbers before. You might see a running back get signed like Kareem Hunt or someone else if Stump Mitchell, the running back coach. I mean, when you watch Hard Knocks, you guys see the positional coaches get together with the head coach and the GM, and they give report cards. And they're saying, this guy looks good, this guy doesn't look good. So when Coach Mitchell, Coach Stump meets with Kevin Stefanski, if he says Jerome Ford's just not looking the part of someone that if an injury happened to Nick Chubb, he could fill in for a game or two, then I could see them reaching out to Kareem Hunt or one of these other very notable free agent running backs. But we will not know that until at least a few days into training camp. So July 22nd, that gets underway. Stay tuned a little bit closer to the start of August. But let me know, should the Browns re-sign Kareem Hunt? This is the pinned comment on today's episode. So if a YouTube ad break comes on by, take advantage of it, scroll on down, and type Y for yes or N for no. Max, what's going on, dude? We finally developed a late pick receiver to only have to see him go. That sucks. I echo that thought. It does suck. I mean, first off, he hasn't gone just yet. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But yes, when you draft Cedric Tillman and you trade for Elijah Moore, two guys that are under contract beyond this year, and DPJ is a free agent after this year, that definitely sends some signals of the Browns preparing to lose Donovan Peoples-Jones. I would not rule out an extension for DPJ, though. If DPJ gets off to a solid year and he goes, I'm putting together a good season here. I like the Cleveland Browns. I want to continue to play with the Browns. I like what we're building. I want to stay in this locker room. And I know that the wide receiver pool in free agency in 2024 is loaded. This might be my best shot to get some guaranteed money. An extension could happen. But yes, right now it's not in that favor. It's not in that direction. And it does stink, but that's the NFL. You can't re-sign everyone. You got to pick and choose which guys you think are going to be long-term pieces, and the Browns are pretty deep at wide receiver, so they might want to allocate that money to other spots. Gregory H., next up. If we do need a linebacker, which I think we do, who do you think would be put on the PUP or IR to make room? So if I'm getting this correctly, if I remember correctly, you start training camp on the PUP list. If you go on IR in training camp, your season's done. The only way you can go back and play in the NFL is if the team agrees to injury release and they agree to an injury settlement and you could be a free agent. But if you go on IR in training camp, your season is over, at least with that team. For PUP list, you don't go on the PUP list once the season starts. You go on to long-term injured reserve. Takitaki would make the most sense. He tore his ACL in week 12 last year, December 4th. I think that was the date, down in Houston, somewhere in that range. So ACL tears, as we saw with OBJ, might take 12 months to recover. And if it's 12 months for Takitaki, he's probably not coming back in September. But I think the Browns re-signed Takitaki with the belief of this ACL recovery would not be as botched, if you will, with the OBJ one. It seems like he did not have a very successful surgery after tearing his ACL. So hopefully that's not the case for Takitaki. But I would not rule out him starting the year off on IR and missing the first, I think, 4 weeks or 3 weeks of the season. 3 weeks of the season on IR. So, or 4 weeks, something like that. But that would be my pick, Gregory. And yeah, they might add a linebacker in that case. Make sure to subscribe, by the way. Join our growing YouTube family here at the Cleveland Browns Report. We're at 20,161 subscribers. So if you are looking for a daily Cleveland Browns YouTube spot with the latest news, rumors, all that good stuff, you have stumbled across the best channel for it. Hit that sub button down below. Joshua Miller, if DeAndre Hopkins hasn't signed by August 1st and one of our wide receivers goes down with an injury the first week of camp, would we make a late run at signing him? Without a doubt. Definitely a little bit dependent on which wide receiver goes down. And I don't even want to say a name because I don't want to jinx it. But the moment a potential, yes, if an injury were to happen, knock on wood, it does not happen, DeAndre Hopkins would be the number one story the next day. Because there's already been some rumors and connections between the Browns and Hopkins. The thing that's been holding them up the most is they don't really have room for an extra wide receiver. But if room did get created, DeAndre Hopkins would be the first guy they called, I think. AFX Apocalypse, would you extend Grant Delpit? I believe the Browns are sort of making their own version of the Legion of Boom. We can throw Grant Delpit's stats on screen from this past season. I would like to see them extend Grant Delpit. I think he ended the year on a really high note. You can see the yards allowed and touchdowns allowed went down. His PFF grade went up. I think that week 10 through 17 Grant Delpit is here to stay. And that's a Pro Bowl caliber player, in my opinion. And so if you can extend him now before you might have to overpay for him in free agency, I'm all for it. And as for the Legion of Boom, the Legion of Boom is tough to compete with. I mean, those were some Hall of Fame, all-pro caliber players, but it's definitely going to be one of the better secondaries in the AFC if everyone plays to their full potential with a top 5 pick in Denzel Ward, arguably the best cornerback last year in Martin Emerson, a former first-round pick in Greg Newsome, a 2-time Super Bowl winning safety in Juan Thornhill, and then Grant Delpit. So that would be a lot of fun indeed if everyone lives up to the potential and plays to the best of their abilities. I thought we were going to get that last year. Was not the case. Hopefully, Jim Schwartz can turn this thing around. Rick Ross, what's going on? Who's a sleeper for 2023? Sleeper for 2023. Let's go with let's put JOK on screen. Let's go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the former second-round pick out of Notre Dame. I was a huge fan of him his rookie season 2021. The only knock on him is he's slightly undersized, at least at the linebacker position, because he keeps getting hurt, right? We have yet to see him play a full season, but if he puts together a full season this year, I mean, first off, think about the defensive line. Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, Myles Garrett. Those three guys are going to make it hell on earth for the opposing offensive line. The offensive line is going to have so much to work with on the defensive line. Getting to the second level is the least of their concerns. And that's going to free up a guy like JOK, who is such an athletic linebacker. Like, he does not have cinder block for feet like some linebackers do. He can fire through gaps. He can get into the backfield. The issue is he's not that big of a dude. So if offensive linemen do get to the second level, he's not the best at shedding blocks and whatnot. But if this defensive line frees up JOK, he could be someone who explodes onto the scene and puts up big numbers, a lot of TFLs, a sack or two here or there. JOK would be my sleeper for this season. Now, an off-the-wall question here I want to ask as we get through this mailbag. Who was the Browns coach when you became a fan? There's a lot of coaches in this team's history, especially since '99. But let me know who the coach was when you first became a Browns fan, whether it was pre-'99 or post-'99. Give me the coach's name in the comment section. Cool guy called Zone. What's going on? 1 month or less until the preseason starts. How do you think the team will look? To be honest, I don't give a shit how they look in the preseason. Like, I remember this Browns team went undefeated in the preseason a few years ago, and we know how the regular season went. So they can go 0-4 for all I care. That will have no reflection to the regular season. The preseason tells me how good my backups are against your backups. And my backups and your backups probably won't make the 53-man roster. Now, it can tell you a little bit about a new coaching staff, the way they are running a camp. I remember last year, the Broncos, right? Their coach, Nathaniel Hackett, was probably the biggest clown, if you will, of all the coaches in 2022. He did not play a single starter in the preseason, and that reflected into the regular season. But Kevin Stefanski is not entering year one. He doesn't have a new quarterback like Russell Wilson in Denver. So I will say this. The Hall of Fame game against the Jets will probably be one of the more exciting Hall of Fame games because we're going to get Josh Dobbs, Kellen Mond, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Those are fun quarterbacks. Those are athletic quarterbacks. And if Zach Wilson plays, tell me that won't be must-watch TV. So the Hall of Fame game could be a lot of fun. Lil Beam, what's going on, dude? Should the Dog Pound trade for Trey Lance? No. I mean, if Trey Lance cost you a 7th, sure. It's worth the flyer on a guy that used to be the 3rd overall pick in the draft. But I would not want the Browns to give up any serious draft capital for the backup quarterback, because I sure hope they don't need to replace Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't want to even begin to enter the headspace of if Watson does not improve or bounce back this year. But if he doesn't, then yeah, there might have to be actions taken. But no, you're already short some draft picks after getting Watson. I don't think this team should be trading more picks away. I would pass on trading for Trey Lance. Joshua Miller. Is NFL quarterback worth watching? It's funny you mentioned that, actually, Josh. So there is an episode of NFL quarterback, and I don't know if this was a plant by you and if you knew this already, but my voice is actually in NFL quarterback. They asked Chat Sports for the rights from one of our videos. So if you go to, say, episode 5, minute 37 of quarterback, you might recognize a familiar voice. So I have not watched it yet as of recording today's video, Thursday, but I'm going to watch it tonight when I go home. So I'll get back to you, but I've heard a lot of good things, Josh, so might as well check it out. It's always fun, in my opinion, to see the personal side and the human side of these beloved athletes because all we know about them is their jersey numbers with their helmets and jerseys on and their stats. We kind of forget they are regular, everyday people like you and I, so you get to see a new lens or through a new lens of these people. Pick a card time. What are we doing? I look forward to it, but it just becomes a nightmare for Jack. I'll be honest. Getting that King of Diamonds like almost a month ago at this point, best thing that happened to me.
It's not like it's fun for you now because you've done it
I
already.
got the monkey off
so
my back.
you're like, I have
I'm
nothing to
stress-free.
worry about.
Yeah. The moment if you get it, I will start stressing out.
Okay.
That's a fact. Tyler Smith, one of the newest members of Chat Sports, is in the studio. He'll pick 2 on the producer team. So, Jack, you want to go first?
Let's do 2 of hearts.
2 of hearts. And Smitty?
I'm going to go 6 of spades.
2 of hearts, 6 of spades. I'm going to
Please.
go with the Jack of spades. Three of clubs. So boring. 3 of clubs. That is it for today's mailbag. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll let you guys get on out of here, and we will catch up with everyone later. Should the Browns re-sign Kareem Hunt? What are we thinking? Did Tim nearly get it? 2 of clubs. Tim Green. Oh, that's tough. That's a Gordon Hayward, Butler, Duke shot right there. Just goes in and out. Damn. That's a bad beat. We've got BRB, yeah. BRB Yukis, would you pick DPJ to stay in Cleveland or Cooper or both? If I had to predict one to return in 2024, I'd probably go Amari Cooper. He's got a big cap hit, but let's say the Browns this season, with Cooper as a pillar of their offense, go on a postseason run and fall just short, they're going to want to run it back. Like, they'll kick the can down the road some more. They won't want to blow up what was a mainstay of their aerial attack. So under that circumstance, Cooper would stay. But if Cooper does not have a good season, that $23 million cap hit is going to be a big eyesore. We got a super chat coming in from Joshua Miller. Which backup quarterback will get the most preseason run? I guess Josh Dobbs would. Right? I mean, Watson will play the first quarter of one of the 4 he won't play it all. He won't dress for the Hall of Fame game. Watson will play the first quarter of maybe the second preseason game. And then it'll be Josh Dobbs starting. Josh Dobbs will play the first half of 2 preseason games. So I think Dobbs will get the most run. It will be interesting to see where Kellen Mond and DTR kind of finish in the pecking order, right? Because they're going to take 3 quarterbacks. Watson, Dobbs, and probably DTR. You don't put a 5th-round pick on the practice squad unless they were dog shit. And I don't think the Browns want to lose DTR to a waiver claim from another team. So Kellen Mond is probably on the hot seat. Okay, we are going to wrap up the show unless we get another super chat. But hey, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. Help us grow our Cleveland Browns Report channel. Hit that sub button down below. Lock yourself in for the best Browns YouTube coverage. It's a blast coming out here, hanging out, talking with you guys every single Thursday. And we can do more live shows. I mean, the Raiders Report, they go live 3 times a week. I would love to get to at least 2 times a week. But we have to get more subscribers to get to that status. So consider subscribing if you have not already. This is going to do it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Thursday afternoons to hang out with Jack Lauderay, Tyler Smith, and I. Shout out to our producers, Tyler Smith and Jack, for helping to get this show on the road. We're going to sign off. We're going to see you guys later. Go Browns. Oh, at the buzzer. Ray Bidding. Ooh, that's like a goal at the end of the first period, a miracle. All right, how many quarterbacks will the Browns carry? I think 3. The NFL rule now, the new NFL rule rather, allows teams to have that emergency quarterback and have them dress for game day because teams are only allowed to have 46 players actually dress on Sundays. But you're going to have 3 quarterbacks. You're just not taking 4. That's just way too much for one room. Deshaun Watson, Josh Dobbs is not getting cut. He got a 1-year, $2 million contract, all of it guaranteed. You don't guarantee someone $2 million and then cut them a few months later. That's just bad managerial decisions. So those 2 are locks, of course, and I think DTR is going to be your 3rd quarterback. So those are your 3 quarterbacks on the active 53-man roster. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, we're going to sign off. Ray, thank you for the super chat to keep the show going. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evenings, and we'll see you guys later. Back. Joshua Miller brought us back from the dead. Holy smokes. Never been done before. Maybe it happened once before. But Josh, with a heartbeat. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm not gonna make it. But you're thinking it. Joshua Miller, which unsigned running back would be the best fit for us? So Kareem Hunt would be the best fit because he knows this team. I don't think he's the best player. How about Leonard Fournette? Like playoff Lenny in Cleveland? Like if you want to go deep into the playoffs, Leonard Fournette could be a fun back. He's good in the receiving department. Listen, when you're bringing a third down running back on the field so that Nick Chubb can kind of catch his breath, you want someone who can pass block. You don't want to bring a running back on who's a liability when you're throwing it on 3rd and 10 anyway. Leonard Fournette is a good pass protector. He's a good receiving back. I think he'd be a fun addition. Plus, can you imagine Nick Chubb and Leonard Fournette on the same roster? So I would go with Leonard Fournette of all the free agent running backs. Kareem Hunt would be able to step in and pick things up as quickly as possible. But if I had to pick any of the free agent running backs, Lenny would be my guy. Okay, Joshua Miller keeping us alive. We're going to put a clock on, and then we will sign off. So that way we don't have to come back from the dead again. So let me get the stopwatch out here. Okay, so we'll get the stopwatch on the screen here. AFX Apocalypse does not want the show to leave. We'll put a minute on. Put a minute. We'll put a minute on. If we don't get a super chat within a minute, then we will get on out of here. But for everyone that has super chatted so far today, thank you guys so much. Pick a card time. We can do one more card pick. How about that? This one is off the record, though. Does not count. It's a preseason game. It's a card scrimmage. Okay, we'll get the timer on the screen in just a moment here. AFX, we have missed you in a little while. I'm not going to lie. So timer's on. If we don't, Joshua Miller with another super chat. Joshua Miller, the MVP of today's show, keeping the show afloat. Which jersey should I consider next? I told you guys, big fan of second tier jerseys. I'm a big second jersey guy. I got this for Christmas. I love my Nick Chubb jersey, but if I was picking my own jersey, you got to find a balance of not, the superstar quarterback or defensive player, but also someone who's going to be on this team for at least the next 2 years, because we know how annoying that can be. If I'm recommending a jersey for Josh, he's got your Cade York jersey. Like Denzel Ward would be a pretty cool, unique jersey. He's a superstar player. He's a star player, at least. Maybe not superstar. But I think, and Martin Emerson, number 23. I think an important part of the jersey is the guy has a good number because you're now that number. So I would say DPJ, but he's a free agent. Like you could be regretting that. Let's go with Martin Emerson. I think if Josh had 3 and 23, that would be a lot of fun. Plus, if you ever wear a Martin Emerson jersey to like a Browns bar or something, everyone's going to look at you like, you're the smartest guy at the bar. Like, you know the most Cleveland Browns football because anyone can go get a Deshaun Watson or a Myles Garrett jersey. But you went seeking for a Martin Emerson jersey. This guy fucks. So I think Martin Emerson would be a pretty fun jersey to get. We're not getting a Stetson Bennett jersey. Greedy Williams is no longer on the roster. He is a Philadelphia Eagle now. And I thought it was a pretty good move by the Eagles because Greedy, former second-round pick out of LSU, unfortunately just couldn't really stay healthy with the Browns, but he could have a nice career in the city of brotherly love. Josh, MVP of today's show, shout out to you. You have put the team on your back. Thank you so much for all of your super chats. For everyone that is tuned in for today's show, you just do not want us to go away. This is a toxic high school relationship. You hang up first. No, you hang up first. Josh, I agree. If Emerson has a really good second season, he's this team's cornerback for hopefully the next 2 contracts worth. And if you can get 2 contracts worth from a second jersey guy, that's elite. That's top tier stuff. That's a deep cut right there. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us this Thursday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day and go Browns.